my fellow comic book collectors, it's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is the Friday Challenge, where I get you to look through your long boxes, find comics based on a particular theme of the week, and this week it's going to be 90s comics, what I call the plastic age. If you look at each age, Golden Age, Silver Age, so forth, well, it's based on materials. So the first age was the Platinum Age, which is a very valuable, precious mineral, like metal. And then you got the Golden Age, a little less precious, but still valuable. And then we got Silver Age, a little less valuable. And then Bronze, a little less valuable. Then we have the Copper Age, which is a little less valuable. And then we got the Plastic Age, which is the 90s, from 1990 to 1999. And it's really like where the material is very plasticky. It's little value. Mass production, I always think of that kind of synonymous with the 90s. And the idea of gimmicks. Like whenever I think of things that are plastic, I think of things that are very gimmicky. The books that I'm going to show, though, are not necessarily that. So I want to show big books from the 90s, my top 10. There's some that I probably could have included, but I'm only showing my slabbed ones. I have a few raw ones that are pretty big books. I'm going to show a bonus book as well. So, and if you want to participate, all you have to do is use the hashtag Friday Comic Challenge. Also, if you can include my, at Comic Collector Geek, that's always great. And also use the hashtag 90s covers. And I just want to quickly make this a bit of a tag video because I like to not only tag people because I want to see their collections, but I want to hopefully help those channels grow as well. So a bit of a comic book shout out as well, where I want to just kind of mention a few other channels. These are smaller channels, but they're great channels. So we got a couple that I'd like to see your top 10 not Silver Age, Plastic Age comics, 90s comics. These are my shout outs. It's going to be Collecting Casually, Lady Pop Hunter, Pop Comics, good friend of mine. His channel is much bigger actually. He's a good guy. And he has an amazing collection. Biggie Shack, who I do the Comic Book Collector Club with him every second Friday. And another guy I do the Collector Club with is D-Runk, who has an amazing 90s collection. So I'd love to see their collections. I'll put links to their channels in the descriptions below. So yeah, check them out, and hopefully they will respond to the challenge and do it. And if you do the challenge, shout out a few channels. Let's help the community grow. So we're going to start with my honorable mention. This is a book that I just like from the 90s. It's from 1999. It is Liberty Meadows #1. This is a Frank Cho comic, and it's just a really great story. It's like it's very cartoon strip in my opinion. Like it kind of reminds me of like when I used to read Garfield or like Heathcliff or comics like that, where it was like very like comic strip, very short stories, very humorous, animals being silly. That kind of reminds me of this a bit. And basically, Liberty Meadows is like this girl who's on a wildlife preserve, basically, with neurotic animals. That's basically the best way to describe it. It's really great art, great fun stories. Yeah, definitely one to check out. One of my viewers actually recommended this series to me, and I basically collected the whole thing as a result. So Liberty Meadows #1 from 1999. That's my honorable mention. Now my top 10, we're going to get into them. We got Tank Girl #1. This is just such a great cover, just so funny. Tank Girl was kind of a cool comic, like a bit of an underground comic that became popular. But this cover always reminds me of like the time where Madonna did the walk down the runway and was like, had that crazy crazy outfit. This kind of reminds me of that. Just, you know, really great story. And this is from 1991. So it's number 10 on my list. Tank Girl number 1. And we have Amazing Spider-Man 361. This is the first appearance of Carnage. I always liked Carnage. I always thought Carnage was interesting. The way I always saw Carnage is kind of like the insane version of Venom. Much more evil and very interesting character. This is from 1992. It's who did the cover? Actually, I'm curious about that. David. No, sorry. I was going to say, oh, it's Mark Bagley cover. I should have known that, actually. Mark Bagley cover. So just a really cool cover, iconic cover as well. It's kind of a big book from the 90s, but it's one that's kind of lost a lot of value recently after the movie didn't really do that well. I didn't really enjoy the movie, actually. It didn't make sense in some ways. Like, I just didn't get his motivation. Why is he like betraying the girl that he loves, that he sacrificed all of his his life for, basically? So yeah, it didn't make any sense. But it's still a cool character. Hopefully they'll do him right in the future. So Amazing Spider-Man 361, first appearance of Carnage, great book. Okay. And another really great one that they've tried many times to get a movie produced but never happened is Goon. And this is in production hell, basically. They never seem to be able to make a movie. But it is a very cool story. Definitely one to check out. It's written by Eric Powell, and he does the art as well. But it's just a really funny, very, you know, just not politically correct, just a really fun story. So this is Goon number 1 from 1999, very end of this plastic age. These are not your typical plastic age comics. No foils, no like bling, but these are big books from the 90s. Next big one, and this was one that was kind of a book that this is my second copy of the book. My first copy I actually bought either off the shelf, like I actually bought it when it came out, or maybe the week after. I bought it really soon after. I think I paid like $5-10 for it at the time. You know, they always, like back in the day, like if some hot book was, they would always like jack up the price. But I don't know what happened to that copy. I don't know if I sold it for cheap or it got stolen or whatever. I just couldn't find it later. So I ended up buying another copy. This is X-Men 266. This is the first sort of appearance of Gambit. He also made an appearance in X-Men Annual. But I think it's Annual 15 or 18, some one of those numbers. But yeah, just cool character. I really liked Gambit. I love the idea of Gambit. Just the fact that he's like flinging cards at people. I just thought that was cool. I just thought it was so cool that he can power up things. Just a really cool character. So this is X-Men 266, first sort of appearance of Gambit. And this is a thing. I actually don't mind this cover, but I don't really like his costume. I don't like the pink costume. I don't think it really works. I like his the costume that he was better known for with the trench coat and that kind of style more. I don't get why he had this pink costume. Okay, but that's first appearance of Gambit. And this is another interesting book. One that many collectors might not know, but is one that is sort of like well known within the underground comic space. This is Strangers in Paradise. This is by Terry Moore. Just a brilliant writer. He did the art. He did the story for this book. It was sort of like a passion project a bit. So this is the first appearance of the characters from this book. Kashu and what's her name? Francine. I was trying to remember her name. So yeah, and it's not a bad story actually. It's kind of interesting. So Strangers in Paradise. It's about sort of a LGBTQ plus story, but really about this lesbian relationship. But just actually really well done. But this is how you make a great story without making it political or anything like that. Just to tell a great story. So yeah, so Strangers in Paradise from 1993. Another really cool book. One that collectors will know, especially if you're really into Hellboy. This is kind of like the key book for Hellboy. This is San Diego Comic-Con #2. This is the first appearance of Hellboy. There's actually an earlier appearance, but it was in an Italian comic called Dime Press #4. That was the raw one I was speaking about that is also pretty valuable. So yeah, this is just a cool book. This is Don Martin on the art on the cover. But it's just a really cool character, and one of those weird first appearances where you wouldn't have expected it in this kind of book. So that's and then another one, same idea. Another one of these big books from the 90s is Malibus Son. And this is one where it's the first appearance of Spawn. He's on the cover, and he's being showcased in this book. So it's Malibus Son #13. Got Spawn on the cover, on the front and on the back, and there's a pinup with him in the middle. So he is all through this book, and so this is like kind of a major book for those who like Todd McFarlane's Spawn. So just a really cool one. Came out before Spawn #1 did, so that's what makes it a key first appearance. Okay, next book, #3 on my list, is The New Mutants '98. This is a book, this is actually a personal grail for me for the 90s. It was one that I actually really wanted back in the 90s, but never got. I never, like, it was a hard book to find. I didn't really have access to the internet the way we do nowadays. And it was always very expensive. So it was just one of those things I just couldn't afford. And I really wanted it though, because I really liked Deadpool. But yeah, I just couldn't get it. I got it maybe like 2016, somewhere around there. Like I got it much later in life, maybe 2018, somewhere around there. It was much later that I picked up this book. So I was pretty excited to get it though. So I think I might have gotten it when the price was a little bit spiking, so that's why I ended up with the 8.0. But so yeah, this is from 1991, just a classic cover by Rob Liefeld. Just a really great one. So first appearance of Deadpool. Next on the list is Batman Adventures #12, another cool character. So I would say like maybe the biggest male character was Deadpool. The biggest female character from the 90s would be Harley Quinn, right there. You know, Batman Adventures was just such a great cartoon series, animated series. It was, you know, it was what people watched. It was it and X-Men. You know, those were the two big ones that came out during the 90s. And, you know, the storytelling in the Batman Adventures it was just so brilliant. Some of my favorite episodes of any animated series were in that series. Like the one with Mr. Freeze was just really great. I enjoyed the Harley Quinn ones as well. I liked how she was portrayed in the comics, in the TV series, where she was a bit more playful. I enjoyed that. So yeah, so this is Batman Adventures #12, first appearance of Harley Quinn. But the weird thing about it, this one is actually a special one because it's a newsstand as well. It makes it a little bit more valuable because newsstands were a little bit rarer in the 90s. So yeah, yeah, I really like that one. Okay, my last book, and I just showed this recently in one of my Q&A videos from 2 weeks ago, is Bone #1. This is a really big book. Actually, I looked it up recently just to see how valuable of a book this is, and I didn't realize. A 9.8 has sold for over $10,000. I was like, wow, that's so insane. Now this book would have been a 9.8 if it wasn't for the fact that somebody put a sticker right here, and it's kind of just faded the comic a little bit, and that's why I got the 8.0. It's perfect other than that. So yeah, it's so sad. I told the story in my Q&A video, but basically what happened was I was basically harassing my comic book store about Bone. I was like trying to get the first prints because I was very obsessed with getting first prints. I didn't want to get like the 20th print that this book came out with, and I kept on asking them, and eventually they said, oh, we actually happen to have 1 through 5 of the first prints of Bone. And I said, oh, I definitely want 1 through 3. I'd like get those because it was expensive if I got all five. So I said, I want 1 through 3, and we kind of negotiated on the price. They wanted like 500 or something crazy at the time. And they were all 9.8s. They were all beautiful copies. And then basically I said, okay, well, I got them down to 300. I think it was like, that was the final price. And so the employee that basically, he said, oh, it's at our second store. The employee got the message that, oh, you gotta, price up the books. So the employee was a new employee, and they put the sticker actually on the comic rather than on the bag, really dumb. And it was after I had already bought them. So I was really upset when I saw that. Why is there a price sticker on my comics? So yeah, it was very, very frustrating. They apologized, obviously, and they ended up giving me issues 4 and 5 as a compensation for the fact that they kind of ruined my books. So that's how I got 1 through 5. Actually, I have now the whole set, first prints, but definitely a great book. If you haven't read Bone, definitely do so. It's a good one for kids. If you have kids, definitely this is a good book to get them started on collecting comics, because it's just a great story. It's it's fun. This is the first appearance of these 3 major characters. You learn about this guy who's Phony Bone, and he's always coming up with crazy schemes that get everybody into trouble. And they're basically kicked out of their village, and they're like wandering. So it's just a very cool story. There's the back. But, story by Jeff Smith and art by Jeff Smith. So that is my top 10 from the 90s, the plastic age. I hope that people will participate in this. I hope people will start using that term plastic age to refer to 90s comics, because I think we had too many decades now for the modern era, and I think we should break it up. So plastic age is 90s is what I'm trying to push. So if you feel like showing your top 10 90s comics, take part in the challenge. Make a video, show your top 10 90s comics, and use the hashtags 90s covers and hashtag Friday Comic Challenge, and everybody can watch your videos. And remember to tag some other channels, encourage them to participate as well. So thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't enjoy the video, still give it a thumbs up. Just give me a thumbs up. And thanks again for watching. Bye for now.